Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan talking about RFK, what he used to think of him, what he thinks of him now, and what he's going to do when he is in Trump's cabinet, which he is, and his role has been announced. He is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And at first, when you hear that role, you're like, is this it? Is this what we needed? And 100%, I will break down what that role actually is. And it is 100% what we needed. It is 100% what RFK wanted. And it is perhaps the greatest thing that Donald Trump has done. This might be the greatest thing he has ever done as sitting president, this new term coming, and his first term. It's absolutely incredible. And then we'll go through some clips of RFK, people's reactions to the whole new role, and of course, the reaction to the mainstream media and the deep state, who obviously don't like RFK in that position. Let's start off with the Rogan clips, and then we'll get into some other stuff.
They manipulate you, they promote narratives, and the only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me. He's the only one that he doesn't attack people. He attacks actions and ideas, but he's much more reasonable and intelligent. I mean, the guy was an environmental attorney and cleaned up the East River. I mean, he's a legitimate guy. You know, before anybody started calling him an anti-vaxxer, which I thought he was too. I thought he was this nut, this like conspiracy theorist nut, until I read his book. I read The Real Anthony Fauci, and I'm like, what is how much of this is real? Because if it's all real, this is f***ing insane, and we live in a world where we're being manipulated by these health organizations that are being paid by the pharmaceutical drug interests. And these pharmaceutical drug companies are pumping these products out into the population and telling us that we need them, and then making insane amounts of money. And then also the government is in on it, and also they share a patent with Moderna, and also they share profits, and there's $700 million, however much money was made, whatever the number is that these guys made off of these products. Like, this is, all of it is crazy. There's the revolving door between the CDC and the FDA and then these pharmaceutical drug companies. So the people that make the regulations then go on to have these cushy jobs with the pharmaceutical drug corporations. Like, oh, nothing to see here. It's like, it's open. It's right out in the open.
Right.
And when he talks about all that stuff in his book, you're just like, what the man? If this wasn't true, he would be sued.
Yeah. But
it seems to be true.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing because people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be attacked. You know, they don't want to be called an anti-vaxxer. That's a big one.
Right.
You know.
It cracked
that because, I mean, look, I remember thinking Bobby Kennedy was
a kook.
Yeah.
100%. I said it to him when he came on the podcast.
Right.
I said, I have to be honest, that my version of you was connected entirely to you being an anti-vaxxer, conspiracy theorist, kook, the dark cloud of the Kennedy family, this one guy who's just nuts, unfortunately. Too bad. Then I read The Real Anthony Fauci, and I was like, hang on.
Yeah. Oh, it's
But then I talked to some brilliant people that I know that recommended certain things and told me to read some other things that he had written. I'm like, oh, okay. This is another one of those. Another one. Well, there's people that meet me, and they think I'm some right-wing kook, you know, conspiracy theorist, mean person. It's like, okay. How do you get there? Like, you're getting there because someone's led you there. You're not getting there from a normal, objective analysis of a person, who they are and what they stand for.
That's exactly it.
And with him, he's connected to that business of first environment, right? So he's an environmental attorney. He cleaned up the East River, and did a lot of great work.
Yeah, he is our champion, and we were led to believe that he was
a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's so well measured when even dealing with these attacks. The way he handles things is so admirable.
It is admirable.
It really is.
Yeah, and
it's good for all of us.
Yeah. Well, the discovery. I want everybody to have the experience of having thought ill of somebody like Tucker or like Bobby Kennedy, and then to discover in person that the rap is just wrong.
Right, and you're being led. you're being led by what's essentially propaganda. And it's to polarize us. It's to keep us separated and to keep us thinking that you don't have anything in common with people on the right, and they're demons. You don't have anything in common with people on the left. They're loons. Like, you and I are both very socially liberal.
Yeah.
You know, and the idea that you'd be sitting here saying Trump's got to win.
I know. Who would have thought, right?
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's crazy, but the world's crazy. And when the world's crazy, you have to have crazy solutions. From Peter Daszak and Anthony Fauci and all these people that were involved in the funding of this research, just the way they were framing it and the way they were disparaging legitimate scientists and legitimate doctors that were not lockstep in agreement with them, it's shameful.
Yeah.
It's not scientific.
Shameful as in
it's
people
political.
need to be in prison, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, they should. This should be a thing. Like, Rand Paul's the only one who calls them out on it.
Yeah.
And he does it on a regular basis. And he's 100% correct
Yeah.
in the things that he's saying about the funding of this
He's been
particular
a rock
type
star.
of research. Because when you see Fauci say that it's not gain of function research, but that's not true, because the NIH says it's gain of function
Yeah.
research. They all say it now because they want to protect their own.
There's a rumor online, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of. Okay, so is Dr. Fauci's wife on the NIH? Isn't she like one of the heads? Isn't that some sort of thing?
Well, let's find out.
Yeah,
She does
let's look it
something. She has some function.
And he used to be the head of the NIH during that whole AIDS
Yes.
thing, which
He's been
we're not
running it.
making any comparisons to. If you make any comparisons
Here it
to
is.
then.
She's the head of the Department of Bioethics. It's a National Institute of Health Clinical Center. Yes, there it is.
Do you think maybe this is
Well, it's
problem?
it's all crazy, because these people they have massive amounts of power to decide who gets funded, what labs get funded, and no one wants to step out of line. There's a crazy book that I'm in the middle of. That's a very controversial book, and it was one of those books. I'm like, God, do I want to get into this? It's Robert
I've got
Kennedy
like
Jr.'s
10. Oh yeah.
Yes, Robert Kennedy Jr.'s
Right.
book, The Real Anthony Fauci. Holy
Yeah.
like, there's some stuff in that is 100% verifiable truth,
Yeah.
and it's crazy, which
Yeah.
is totally illegal.
What do you think about RFK's, possibly getting in to investigate all that stuff?
I think it would be one of the best things for the health of the people in the United States. If you really care about health, I think there's a lot of us, and it was me at one point in time, and I've gotten more educated about it. A lot of us are very ignorant about what we're doing to our bodies with food and with medications.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're being told the truth. And I think there's a reason why multiple other countries have banned food elements, food like ingredients that we use all the time. These red dyes. They had all these health experts testify, and they were all hammering this point over and over again. They were talking about the food additives. They were talking about glyphosate and how dangerous glyphosate is, and like an enormous percentage of people show traces of glyphosate in their blood. We're getting it through all kinds of vegetables. It's ubiquitously sprayed on monocrop agriculture crops. We're all just consuming these poisons. There's no reason to have fluoride in the water. There's no reason. We've been putting fluoride in the water. Oh, keep your teeth clean. You don't want cavities.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it forever. One of the things that's very interesting about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being connected to Trump in this election.
Really?
Because if Trump winds up winning, they're going to expose our food systems. Robert Kennedy, one of the things that he really wants to do is he wants to expose a bunch of problems we have in our food system. One is glyphosate. Glyphosate, which is used, it's an herbicide. It's used all over the place. It's in a lot of food. Most people they test, or some incredibly high number of people test positive for glyphosate in their blood.
Really?
Yeah, because you're getting it from organic vegetables even, like some vegetables. People are just doing shots and drinking tequila, and marijuana is something that gets you locked in a cage. As long as something like that exists that's preposterous and completely illogical, the good that it serves is the ruling class. It gets to rule without logic. Because they don't have to. It doesn't have to make sense. You're going to jail. You know, and it's as long as they say that, you're like, we raise your taxes, you got to pay them. You're going to jail. But the Constitution, shut up. So if there's like an illegal situation like that, or an illogical situation like that, rather, it makes you lose faith in the whole system. But when someone like RFK Jr. comes along and says, hey, I think we can fix this, it's like, give him a chance. Maybe he can. Maybe he can fix this whole health system where we've been co-opted by these giant organizations that want you to make money.
People have lost faith, and people have given RFK a chance. Most notably, of course, Trump. Trump is the one that is responsible for this. And, you hear Rogan say it himself. When he first heard of, or when he first was introduced, his intro to RFK Jr. was he's just a kook, conspiracy theorist. RFK did the hard work of actually running for president, actually got in front of the podcasters because, he was even doing that before Trump. I think he was doing it. I think Vivek started realizing that he should do it as well. He started taking every interview. But RFK, he was the one that kind of kicked that off, honestly. I mean, Trump did interviews here and there, but RFK focused on, this is the thing that I'm going to do to make people know me. And, he did that hard work and it paid off. But Trump is the one who said, we have to put this guy in this position, and it's incredible to see that this is actually happening. Benny Johnson said this, one of the greatest upgrades of the century. If you don't know who this is here, this is Miss Admiral Rachel Levine. And of course, that's a miss, of course, and she, it's very hard, I'm being nice. She, of course, fine. I'll say it. But it's kind of like you're driving a car and somebody's like, you got to turn left to go right. And I'm like, whoa, what do you mean I got to turn left to go right? And you're like, you'll see. And I turn and I go like this, and all of a sudden I turn that way. And I'm like, whoa, this is really weird. That's what it's like calling her she. Okay? But I'll do it. Fine. But she is actually the assistant. Okay? A lot of people don't realize that. They think she is the head. She's actually the assistant of Health and Human Services. So RFK, I assume RFK is going to fire her and he will find a new assistant, but this person would be RFK's assistant. Again, massive upgrade. Look at this guy. Just built 70 years old. Jeez. RFK said to President Trump, he said, "Thank you, Donald Trump, for your leadership and courage. I am committed to advancing your vision to make America healthy again." It's very nice of him to even say his vision, because that has been RFK's vision the whole time. Although Donald Trump does share it, very, very commendable for him to say that. "We have a generational opportunity to bring together the greatest minds in science, medicine, industry, and government and put an end to the chronic disease epidemic. I look forward to working with more than 80,000 employees at HHS to free the agencies from the smothering cloud of corporate capture." Oh, I love it. They can pursue their mission to make Americans once again the healthiest people on earth. Together, we will clean up the corruption, stop the revolving door between industries and government, and return health agencies to their rich tradition of gold standard evidence-based science. I will provide Americans with transparency and access to all the data so they can make informed choices for themselves and their family. You know what? As he's saying this is really RFK. RFK really believes this. It would have been cool to see him as the head of the CIA, but he probably would have took that same stance. He would have been like, we're going to be transparent. I'm telling all the secrets. And it's like, but the other, China's going to watch. They're going to watch Fox too, and they're going to get the secrets. So this is a good place for him. That's all I'm saying. It's a very good place for him. Now, of course, the mainstream media feels completely different. They feel like this is not a good place for him, that he is the worst person, and they're gonna go ahead and smear him a little bit, as they do.
See news that the president-elect Donald Trump is expected to pick Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Trump had previously promised RFK a, quote, big role after RFK abandoned his independent bid for president and endorsed Donald Trump. The New York Times describes him like this, as a, quote, environmental lawyer who has no medical or public health degrees and has promoted anti-vaccine conspiracies for years, end quote. Regarding the Food and Drug Administration, the agency that is responsible for the safety of our prescriptions, vaccines, cosmetics, our food, even veterinary medicine, an agency that would be under his purview, RFK has said that, quote, entire departments have to go. Let's bring into our breaking news coverage former Obama White House Policy Director, MSNBC medical contributor, Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, your first reaction.
Oh, my God. I mean, those of us who have spent our lifetime, kind of decades working in and around in HHS, I'm not kidding, Nicole, my texts are flying off the chain, both Democrats and Republicans saying, this can't be real. Someone must have gotten this wrong. This can't be possible. And now the second underlying chain, there's some silver linings. The second thought I had is he can't get confirmed, can he? But I'm just listening to you talk about the DNI and all these other roles that require some sort of White House or confirmation or some combination. And here we are. It is really hard to believe. There are career staff texting me saying this was just the push they needed to try to get out. They were already on the fence and worried. We're not just going to see this incredible kind of integration of ideology that has no science behind it. But Nicole, we're going to see probably the best of the best career staff leaving these agencies potentially hollow that he would oversee.
Knowing everything we know about the health of the American people, the average American citizen, for her to be saying this, it's so the propaganda is so it's just weird to watch at this point. Like, oh, well, they're just gonna leave, and my text messages are flying off the chain. Oh, is that what they're doing? Your texts are flying off the chain. And of course, it's Democrats and Republicans, because that's what I do when I get text messages. I go, is this a Democrat or a Republican? Oh, that's a Republican. Wow. Oh, another Republican? That's what I do when I get text messages from friends. What are you talking about? And on top of that, you're going to see the best of the best leave? Hey, leave. You're the same people from just 4 years ago? Get out. Get out. You know, I'm not gonna get heated. Nope. I'm not gonna get heated. But if you're the same people from 4 years ago that let all those things happen to the American people, get out. Go. Thank God for RFK. Get out. We need new people, obviously. Jeez. You're the ones that just went along with everything, right? You're the ones that just went along and just let everything happen that happened. Let everybody get the thing, even though they didn't want. You're the ones? Hey, kick rocks. Go ahead. Get out of here. We don't need you. Are you kidding me? I'm going to move on. And let me just bring up really quick. In that clip, the JRE clip, Fauci, his wife running NIH, and he running what? She ran it, or she runs it? He ran it back in the day? They just kind of passed the baton to each other? What? That means he's running it. What? Oh, God. Whatever. I got some news in store for you guys in terms of the NIH. Let's get into this RF Kenny. I'm flustered from that clip. And the person that they bring on, Barack Obama, she served under Obama. Hey, that's terrible. Okay, another terrible thing. Like, we're supposed to take that lady's word like as if it's good? You're bad. You're watching Americans in the condition that they're in, you and your friends that are texting off the chain, and you're sitting there you're sitting there saying you're going to leave because of RFK, and he's the problem. And what he was doing is not based in science. Oh man. I always write down my edits here. What minute are we in? Off. Okay, let me just write that down really quick. Not at you guys. I wasn't saying. I was talking to her. Sorry. All right. Anyways, let's move on with the clips here.
Since 2005, I spend 30 minutes praying every day when I get out of bed. And my prayer is this. I ask God for 19 years to put me in a position where I could end the chronic disease epidemic and bring health back to our children. And in August, God sent me Donald Trump.
Man, that's a beautiful clip by RFK there, and it's very true. Again, I don't get religious and stuff, but it's interesting how when you pray to God and you pray for something, like you pray for patience and you think you're going to be like overwhelmed with peace, but then instead you get cut off in traffic and someone bumps into you and they get the order wrong and the kids do this and that, and it's like that's where they give you the patience. He's asking for that for 19 years, and then he's running against Trump and he wants to become president, and God's just like, go ahead and try, go ahead, and then it's like it doesn't work, and Trump even comes to him and says, be my VP, and he's like, I'm running against you, I'm not going to be your VP. And the next thing you know, Trump ends up winning. Trump gets shot, and right away he's like, listen, come be with me in this thing that I'm doing right now. And he does it. And as soon as you give in, I'm telling you, man, God works like that. As soon as you give in, everything starts to click. When you're trying to do it your way, oh man, I'm not even gonna, this is not what the episode's about, but I've seen that I've felt that so many times in my life. To see that's exactly what he's going through right there. He prayed for that. He thought it was going to be the presidency. Instead, somebody else won, and that person brought a hand down and said, come up with me. Come. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, we'll be seeing a lot less of things like this. I mean, ladies like this.
Hello, I'm Admiral Rachel Levine. This Black History Month, I'm pleased to partner with OMH in advancing better health through better understanding for Black communities. Climate change is having a disproportionate effect on the physical and mental health of Black communities.
Hey, that's enough. We're not playing that whole clip. I just wanted to give you a little taste. Black people are being affected more than anything by climate change. Why? We like when it's hot. I love it when it's hot. What? Look at me. I'm wearing a hat and a hoodie. I love when it's hot. I'm in Texas right now. I love when it's hot. I love it. Kidding me? Dave Smith, he says, congratulations to RFK. Donald Trump shook up the world. Very interesting tweet from Dave Smith, because just a few hours ago, he was talking about how Trump's never learned his lesson and he's not picking the right people. But that's Dave Smith for you. Good job on Dave Smith for saying congratulations. Jillian Michaels, oh my effing God, thank you, Donald Trump, for being a man of your word. This could not have been easy to accomplish. I'm very grateful. This is Trump's announcement. Did we go over Trump's announcement? Trump just said he's thrilled to announce that RFK, as the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services, for too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex, and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, disinformation when it comes to public health. This is all the things that RFK is going to be crushing. Apparently, big pharma stock prices, their stock prices have plummeted since this announcement. It's all red. And just so you guys know, this is actually called a bloodbath. When you see, this is a perfect example. This is a bloodbath. This is what Trump meant. when stock prices go down like this, the actual term that a lot of people use is a bloodbath because it's all red. And that's what's happening to the pharma companies right now. You love to see it. And a lot of FDA employees are threatening to mass quit. Well, they can go right ahead with that Obama MSNBC propaganda contributor lady that was on there. They can go right ahead with her. I love to see it, man. This is exactly what happened with Elon Musk and Twitter. Exactly the same thing. As soon as he took over, there was a bunch of them that were like, well, I've built a relationship with the FBI. I have to go. Yeah, same thing with these people. They're like, oh, okay, well, he's going to fire me anyway. I might as well just leave. Good. Save the American people money on severance packages. Go ahead and quit. Charlie Kirk, he says, phase 2 of Maha complete. Charlie Kirk, man, not a lot of, I was saying it to my friend the other day. He doesn't get enough credit. He pushes real hard for Trump. Real hard for Trump. And he's done some incredible things behind the scenes. And this is the clip that I'm gonna get into what the actual role is, but I found this clip very interesting. Now, this is directed towards Tulsi Gabbard, but it made me think of something that Tucker Carlson once said. This is the former CIA director talking about how Tulsi is not qualified for this position.
Director Brennan, your thoughts about Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, Nicole, I think you and Tom Nichols have done a great job just underscoring all the concerns that people have about this appointment. Clearly, Tulsi Gabbard has taken actions and made statements over the past several years that really raise serious questions about her common sense, her judgment, as well as her political sympathies. Cozying up to Putin as well as to meeting with Bashar Assad, I think really does show that she doesn't have the type of perspective that is needed for somebody who's going to head up these 18 intelligence agencies. And as Tom Nichols said, she doesn't have any qualifications. The Director of National Intelligence, that's a really serious position and a very complex and complicated one that requires somebody who actually has an understanding of the intelligence community. It's like an orchestra conductor of all the different agencies and departments that are involved in the intelligence process. And I don't think she understands even the instruments that are involved in this orchestra, nor has she had any experience at the strategic level of running and leading a large, complex organization. And the Director of National Intelligence is, according to legislation, the president's principal intelligence advisor, the person who is responsible for making sure that the president's daily brief is put together in a very sound and forthright manner, the person who puts together the budget and the priorities of the intelligence community. So I know that this appointment is sending shockwaves here in the United States, but also around the globe in terms of, is this really somebody who Donald Trump is going to entrust with the care and the leadership of the intelligence community? An unserious pick for a serious position.
So funny. This guy's like, well, the thing about it is, I mean, is Donald Trump really putting her in charge? I mean, how are we going to try and assassinate him if he's putting Tulsi in? Because she's going to find out because she oversees all the... I just don't think Trump has thought this through. I mean, third time's a charm. Am I right, guys? I mean, we got to... Yeah, of course. But the reason that I play that clip, because it was about Tulsi and not RFK, but people are saying the same things about RFK, and it makes me think of something that Tucker Carlson once said, and he was talking about leadership and the leaders that you have. And he was saying that a really dumb or unqualified, in this instance, an unqualified leader who loves you, who loves the people in this instance, they will do way better at whatever job they're put in than someone who is qualified or smart and hates you. Because the person that hates you, they'll have their own bottom line. They will disregard how you feel. They'll disregard how things affect your family, how it affects your society, how it affects anything that has to do with you. They don't care about you. They're pushing you aside, and they could care less what happens to your life. They don't care about your life. Your life means nothing to them. But when somebody, let's say they're not qualified, but they actually care about you, like RFK in this instance, he really cares about the people. Tulsi really has this strong moral compass. And even if they are not qualified, like the mainstream media is going to be saying over and over and over again over the next few weeks and months, the fact that they care, the fact that they actually have this love for people, they have this love, Tulsi and RFK have this love for the Constitution, have these strong moral compasses. Just that alone, when they're confronted with questions that they may not be qualified to answer, they'll do a better job by us than people who are qualified that actually hate us. And I think I think of that right away. You don't have to, she doesn't have to be, I'll stick to RFK. He doesn't have to be exactly qualified for the position. The fact that he has this strong moral compass and this strong love, and he has been praying for this opportunity for the past 19 years, you're going to see him make better decisions than the person who you would say is qualified. Rachel Levine. Like, what? You know what I mean? So, as you hear these attacks and digs at RFK and Tulsi and Trump and Vivek and Elon and JD and and Pete, as you hear these attacks, just know that even if they're not exactly qualified by the standards of the deep state, let's be real, they'll still do well by you because they actually care. Anyways, guys. Oh, you know what? I should get into the position really quick. When I first saw this position, I will say this. I was disappointed. I read everything and I'm like, okay, it's great. It's a great position. It's what RFK always wanted. Health protection as a principal health agency, the U.S. government. He's responsible for protecting the health of the American people and everything. I was like, okay, that's all well and good. But then I decided, let me see what agencies he actually oversees, because I wasn't seeing it in this breakdown. And usually they show that in the breakdown. So I asked the question of what agencies does someone in RFK's new position actually oversee? And I saw the CDC, NIH, FDA. Oh, beautiful. This is exactly what he wanted to. Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, Indian Health Services, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services, Administration for Children and Families, beautiful. Administration for Aging. So this is just amazing. But the first three, that's exactly what needs to be taken care of. The CDC, NIH, FDA. He will be overseeing these agencies. He will be able to get rid of the heads, and good Lord, he'll be able to keep Fauci far, far away from ever being ahead of any of these things ever again. He'll be able to stop the revolving door, and he'll be able to actually make America healthy again. So, thank you to Donald Trump. Even, and the amazing thing about this, just a side note, there's so many people who hate Donald Trump, so many people that hate every single step that he's making right now, and this is going to help them. This right here is going to help them and their children. And he's still doing it, and they still hate him. How about that? Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps us tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.